Growing up without our parents was a rough experience, but the worst happened when my brother got into drugs.
He spent all our savings to purchase drugs.
Isolated himself from his family members, and spent most of his time with his friends.
Wow, I did high as I did like this.
He got into many drugs from pills to weed, syrup, and he injected himself. He became very violent and got into trouble. He spent days outside without coming home. The drugs began to eat him gradually. It was painful seeing him lose his mind, but it was more painful when we lost him forever. Stay safe, don't do drugs. This is Narco Tales.
Hello and welcome to Narco Tales, the show where people with lived experiences of substance use share their stories, not to be judged, but to educate, inspire, and remind us that every choice has a consequence. I am your host, Netta Wedozie. Our guest joins us virtually, so let's begin. Hi, how are you doing today?
Well, I'm good. I'm good. Thank God.
Okay, so let's just get started. So how did drugs begin to control your daily life? What couldn't you do anymore without using them?
Why do we chase life? We chase life for happiness. The reason you work is so that you can make money to afford what you want that makes you happy. So the primary purpose of man chasing life is to be happy. We are all in pursuit of happiness. Yes, we are all in pursuit of happiness. And since I had already gotten like a replacement to supply my brain with dopamine, apart from the normal activities that could have given my brain the reward system it needed. Listen, I was now relying on this substance to feel happy. So meaning it dulled my motivation to want to chase my dreams. I had strong passion for making hair and all, and I lost all that. I actually lost all that due to the whole addiction. So I was no longer motivated to want to, usually an average person's life is wake up in the morning, attend to yourself, just maybe clean up the house, take your bath, and go to work. You wake up in the morning, you're looking towards being productive for that day, to go to work to achieve something. So at some point of usage, I was no longer having that anymore. That drive was no longer there. The drive to want to achieve, the drive to want to pursue was no longer there. So I wake up most times and the first thing I'm thinking about is how to inject. So the zeal to want to chase life was no longer there. So yes, that's how it started affecting my daily activities. I started losing interest in almost everything, including women. I started losing interest, including women. I started losing interest in my work. I started losing interest in life. Understand? Because anytime I just was in a bad mood or anything, or have a trigger, or the craving comes, I just look for one available place and I hide myself and I inject. So it's more like, why are you busy stressing yourself going out there to chase happiness when you can just find happiness in one ampoule? So it was more like the people around me at that point in time become casualty to whatsoever I was feeling at that moment. And most times when the craving comes, you get irritated over anything. You start getting upset unnecessarily. You become aggressive to those around you. And you become desperate to want to purchase. So even if you don't have the money, you go as far as wanting to beg for money in order for you to be able to meet up. So, without it, I could not function. I couldn't sleep without it. If I wake up in the morning without it, I couldn't eat. So it was now affecting my daily activities to the extent that when I even go to work, I used to carry it alongside inside my purse.
And what lengths did you go just to get drugs when you needed them?
I was willing to do anything. And personally, before the whole drug thing, I was never the one to lie. Lying was never my thing. And so also was stealing. Stealing was never my thing because of the way I was raised. But when addiction came in, I was willing to lie and say anything just to be able to get money to fund the habit. Then at some point, I know I actually went to my mom's wardrobe, took one of her expensive bags, and I had to exchange it for a pack. That bag was so expensive, but yet I was willing to just let it go just for some couple of ampoules, because I was so desperate for a fix-up at that point. So that was one of the most, and till today, my mom never knew that because she asked me about the bag and I never told her that I was the one. I had to start roaming the streets.
That must have been terrible.
Begging people for money, lying to them that I have this condition, I have this condition, I have this, I have that, please help me with money, let me go and treat myself. Or the doctor, sometimes I'll fake a prescription and I'll go and show it to people and be like, please, this is what the doctor wrote for me and I don't have the money, please help me and all. And when I was in youth service in Lagos, since it was an estate, the NCCF house was, that was like a Nigerian Christian Corpus Fellowship. So that was where I stayed during my service in Lagos, youth service in Lagos. And while I was there, usually when I'm broke, I usually borrow from my co-coppers. And if they don't have at that moment, I will have to go through the street. I had an empty inhaler then that I'll be roaming around claiming that my inhaler was finished, that please they should help me out with money and all, just to be able to gather money and go by. So I said roaming the street begging for money. That was the extent I went. And I stole from my mom to be able to afford this. And it's something that up to tomorrow I still regret. Because who would have ever thought that I would turn a beggar on the street roaming around?
So how did dependence change your thinking and how you related with people around you?
Okay, one of the things that drug does to a man is it makes you isolated. Because drug actually flourishes in secrecy. So it isolated me from my family, actually. And I saw everybody as an enemy. That was how my mind was now working. I was no longer able to interpret actions like the way a normal person should. I was no longer able to interpret actions. It was as if my brain was rewired. Something that before you would do and I would laugh about it, you would do it and I would just flame up about it. All right? So it was really, I could no longer process logic. I was a very smart young man, so I could easily remember things. Like you can tell me things from years ago and I'll still remember it. Like my memory was so active. But at that point, I was beginning to forget things. Like any slight, you can just tell me something right now in a few seconds I've forgotten. Within few seconds I've forgotten. And I could not interpret normal activities, daily activities the way I should. The logic was no longer there because my priority, my thinking priority at that point was to calculate the strategy to be able to purchase the next fix. To be able to purchase the next fix, that was always top of my head. How do I get this? How do I? So I don't even think I even had time to think because it was more of impulse control. Like I was just on default mode of, okay, how do I get this? How do I get this? Okay, how do I get this? How do I get this? So how do I get it? That was just it for me. So it was more like a loop. I was living in a circle. But the only difference with that circle, it was spiraling down. The more I was going in that circle, the more deeper I was getting. And the more deeper I was getting, the more it was killing me. So I couldn't think properly because everything I was thinking about at that point was just how to get the drugs. So if anything that came in to actually obstruct that mission present itself, I will fight it with everything, even if the thing was for my own good. So the only process that was going through my thoughts at that point in time is, after taking the fix, how do I take the next fix? Others would think about going to work, going to this one. All I was thinking about is how do I get the next fix? So my thoughts, I didn't have time to even think about anything else. Nothing else mattered in my life at that point. Nothing else mattered. It was just getting that fix.
Did anyone ever confront you about your drug use and how did you respond to them at the time?
Yes, a lot of people like, hey dude, this thing, especially some close friends then that knew me, they told me that, dude, this thing you're doing is killing you, and almost anybody that challenged the habit or that contradicted that interest of me having access to it, I will fight the person. I could remember one time I picked up a knife and I was chasing my elder sister around simply because that day I came back from rehab, and that same day that I came back from rehab, I actually relapsed. I even went to the pharmacy. I have not even gotten home. Like on my way from the hospital I just told the cabman stop me, and I just stopped by, purchased it. And so my sister found out about it and she seized it and actually insisted that no, I'm not going to have it and all that, else I should leave her house. And I was like, sure, I'm willing to leave your house if that's it. So, but give me back my drugs. And he was like, she won't give me. I got so upset because of it, and I picked up a knife and I was chasing her around the compound. Even though my leg was bad, I was still limping and with the knife. Like, if she doesn't give me my medication, because then I usually used to call it medication. Or like, if you don't give me my stuff, I'm going to stab me. And I was just we were just creating a scene. So it was more like anybody that tried to come in between me having access to that substance at that point in time was an enemy. So yes, several people actually tried talking me out, tried to tell me, dude, you're killing yourself, I know. So my parents too, when I was at home, they like, what's this you're doing to yourself? I know they were angry with me for what I was doing to myself. And because of that, I actually, I left home. And that's another worst mistake, another terrible mistake I made. I left home in order to have privacy to do what I was doing. Even though I knew that what I was doing was bad. But because me being in my family house at that point in time did not give me that leverage I needed to keep sponsoring the habits, I actually left home. And another worst mistake is dwelling in isolation while struggling with addiction.
Thank you very much, Abraham. We're going on a short break now. When we return, the story takes an unexpected turn. Stay with us.
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was seeing things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Welcome back to Narco Tales. Thank you for staying with us. Were there moments you genuinely wanted to stop? And if so, what kept pulling you back?
That question is something that I don't know how to answer it, because the truth is I can't count how many times I promised myself I would never do it again. I kept on telling myself, I will never do this again. Oh God, I will never do this. At some point you won't swear and tell God that, God, if I do it again, kill me, cut my neck, kill me. But yeah, several times. And it's not about genuinely willing. Because I think the mistake most people make is they just believe all you need is motivation and being willing to stop. Understand? And some people use this phrase of heaven help those that help themselves. The truth is, when it comes to addiction, you can no longer help yourself. That is why you need rehabilitation. And over rehabilitation is not over a cure. Addiction is like being inside a car. The car is on high speed. Whether high speed or not, the car is on speed. And it's on motion, the car is on motion, and you have lost control of the steering and lost control of the brake. That is what addiction is. You're seeing yourself, you're going to doom, you're going to destruction, you're going to kill yourself, and yet you can still help it. It's not because you don't want to stop, it's not because you like what you're doing to yourself, you hate it, but you just can't stop because your brain have been hijacked, it have been hacked. It's like the way tech bros will say it, whereby someone hack into your system. You still have the system with you, but you can no longer control the system because now another entity or another person have actually taken possession of the control of that system. That's how addiction is. So many times you want to stop, but you can't just help it, but relapse. And one of the things is when sometimes I'll pray to God and I'll be like, God, I will never do this again. If I do it again, take my life. And funny enough, immediately after that prayer, you fall back. And by the time you relapse and come back, I won't call it relapse. By the time you go and take your fix, you come back with regrets. You start crying, you come back with regrets, hating yourself the more, because you know you have told yourself that I don't want to do this again, I will never do this again, I'm going to stop. And the funny part is most times, most addicts actually deceive themselves by telling themselves, I will stop when I want to stop, I will stop when I want to stop. But funny enough, it is when you want to stop, you realize that it's not as easy as you said it. It's easier said than ever being done. And there are a couple of times I tried to stop on my own too, and the withdrawal symptoms was no joke. So I didn't have that strength, and that's why I had to go in for rehab.
Looking back today, what do you think dependence stole from you before you even realized it?
I think I can answer that question with just one word, and that is everything. Everything. And one thing most people don't understand is time is actually one of the most, if not the most precious assets that man ever have. Time. You can lose money and regain it, but you can't lose time and regain it. So basically, it's a challenge. I lost time. And at the same time, I lost relationship. I lost money, I lost career. My mates now are married with kids, and I have nothing. It's now I'm starting life all over again. Thank God at least I had a skill in school that I'm trying to use in building my life afresh again as a stylist. But yes, I lost everything. So if you want to find out what I actually lost, I think that word is the right phrase to use. Everything.
If someone watching right now believes they are just experimenting, what would you want them to know before it's too late?
Nobody becomes an addict hoping to be an addict. I don't think there's any such person that wakes up and be like, man, I feel like be a junkie or I feel like be an addict. No. It starts from make I try one, make I test them. From make I test them again. From make I test them again, it no longer becomes make I test them again, now become make I take them. From make I take them again. Before you know it, don't forget what I said, the principle of graduality. It starts from one. Before you know that action's inconsistency becomes a habit. That action inconsistency becomes a character. And that's just it. So most times, if you're there thinking of experimenting, say no worry, I go now because these people they're not smart. So make I just take them. If I take them, I go there. You understand? I just want to test them. Also know that one thing is, once you test it, you have automatically altered your brain chemistry, because at that point you have loaded your brain with a particular level of dopamine that originally your brain was not used to, and that is what causes that drowsiness you feel that you call high. So your brain now, once you introduce that foreign substance to it, your brain have now recognized it that, there is a source of such good feeling. There's a source of such good feeling. Let's assume your reason for wanting to experiment is maybe for curiosity's sake. Tomorrow, when you now see people hanging out in a fun-filled environment, and that same substance is there, and they'll be like, try out now. At this point, it will no longer be experimenting. But because you have already experimented to know that it feels good, it is easier for you to fall prey into reusing again. Your ability to resist it becomes weaker. So the best thing is this when it comes to AIDS and HIV, they say prevention is better than cure. In drugs, don't even prevent, avoid. Because the prevention that is applicable to drug addiction or drug use is in relapse. When you're trying to recover, you try to prevent things that actually will make you relapse. And which addiction is a lifetime battle, and that is not a journey you want to start fighting because of experimentation. Like they say, curiosity kills the cat. You're not a cat. Be wise with your curiosity. Not everything that looks good is good for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Abraham. This was such an interesting conversation. Thank you for being part of today's conversation. But this story doesn't end here. Join us next week as our guest returns to share the impact he had on his life and his road to recovery. I am Netawe Doze. Thank you for watching.
would say 90%. Most of our cases are cases that are properly investigated. So at the end of the day, the person who has been taken to court probably cannot deny the fact that he actually committed the offense. So most of those cases are cases that the offender or defendant, as the case may be, goes to court and pleads guilty. So at the end of the day, the prosecution activity, or the standard of proof required of the prosecutor is very light. In such cases, there's nothing more than to convict the person. So since many of our cases go that way, the rate is very high.
Don't do drugs, don't do drugs, don't try it though. He go choke you up, he go steal your sunshine up, he go shock you up. He don't kill him any youth for my area, even for your area. When you start it to stop, it no go easy. As you dey drag am go, he dey drag you down. Water come up from my eyes, oh, when I remember all the guys, oh, when many of them kicking bucket, oh, some cut to socket, oh, make we no forget, oh, no they talk it, oh, say, don't do drugs, rock up you see body, oh, don't go wound your busy body. If you die, you go sad, oh. Oh yeah, help me tell somebody. Say, rock up you see body, oh. Body, oh. Body, oh.
This message is brought to you by the National Drug Law Enforcement Agency, NDLEA.